All right, welcome to the next, or I guess officially the next version or edition of Spilling the Tea in Studio D. I want to welcome everybody back, and we've got two of our guests, or two of our employees that work in our CTE online version here of at Dawson, and we have Oakley Atkinson, and we also have Christie Lewis, and Christie's the director. And Oakley is one of our online teachers, I guess is the best way to say that, or educators, however you want to say it. Mm-hmm. And Oakley does aviation. What else, I guess, is added to that part there?
So I have 3 aviation classes, and this year I picked up a drone course.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you need to get in on some drone action.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd probably tear some stuff up trying to fly.
Well, that was totally a joke.
I know.
Unless we have insurance on that thing.
That's a must.
Yeah.
They don't always come home.
Yeah,
You would have
right.
to if I was
Right,
running it. I'm
right.
just saying.
Yeah. How long have you been with us here at Dawson now?
This is my 5th year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then Christy, you've been here.
Oh gosh, originally in 2007 is when I first came.
Yeah, but new to this director position.
Oh, this director since July of last year.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was saying. So you new to the position, but been long-standing in the field of virtual education. So talk to us a little bit about how you got, what led you to where you're at. We kind of like to get the backstory on folks, what kind of drew you in, I guess. Let's just start with it that way.
Okay. Well, I was I'm married to my husband, and all of his family are educators, and so that intrigued me.
Right.
So I decided to become a teacher at that point, and since I had the alternative, I went the alternative certification route. My degree is in marketing, so I had to get a job, in that field. And so I started teaching, computer processing and that kind of thing at Fordyce.
Right.
Many years ago, and then just was able to come here, a few years later, and we did this old CIV days at that point.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and it was different than it is now. But anyway, then Virtual Arkansas came about in 2014, and we've been doing it that way ever since.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things I think that a lot of people think of when they think Virtual Arkansas. It's just basically recording maybe a teacher teaching class, and it's not that.
Oh, no.
Very interactive.
It's very interactive. We use Zoom as our video conferencing software. We try to meet with our students at least twice a week, if not more. Some teachers Zoom with their kids 4 times a week. And we get to know our kids, on a personal level and also on an academic level as well.
Right. How many, I guess, the just for CTE, career and technical, I know a lot of times in education we start throwing all these acronyms around. So a lot of people watching, hopefully, the podcast that we try not to, beat them over the head with too many acronyms, but career and technical, is just one branch of Virtual Arkansas.
Yes. Well, there's 3 branches total. There's the core campus, which teaches the core classes, CTE, the career and tech, and then concurrent.
Right. And so we have, I'd be afraid to tell. How many folks do we have in career and tech as far as teachers, that kind of thing here?
We have around 15 full-time teachers with career and technical education.
And offer how many courses?
Oh, gosh. many different areas. Health science, aviation, photography, business, hospitality. There's a lot of different areas that we cover.
Tourism.
Yeah, hospitality and tourism.
Well, and the thing I think I like about it is the thing that another thing people don't realize about the virtual piece, we are really able to tailor to the needs, I think, of students much quicker than the traditional, let's just say, classroom.
Right.
Because with it being virtual, if we get enough interest in a class, we can go out and research it, and boom, we can get it online and get it out to a lot of kids at a lot of schools. And to me, that's the impressive piece
Right.
about virtual
Yeah.
is the fact that it's not just teaching to kids, let's just say, at a Lake Hamilton. I mean, we may have a handful of kids there, but we could also go to Kirby,
Right.
all over the state, actually.
Yes, yeah, we service kids all over the state. We're a state virtual school, and
Right.
we partner with local school districts to offer course opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Right.
You know, we also
Yeah, that's what I think is great.
Right,
is that
yes.
A school district that may not be able to offer that much, but
Yes.
they have this option and are able to. It's awesome.
Right. Well, Oakley, obviously, aviation. I mean, again, I'm sure that's one thing that lots of folks, when we say that, they're like, aviation, what the heck? But
Well, and I was going to add what Candace said is, that's not really taught anywhere.
Right.
Right.
That definitely wasn't something offered to me when I was in high
sure,
school.
right,
And so a lot of kids, especially if they've had parents that are pilots or parents in the Air Force or something like that, they're kind of drawn to it. So I do get a lot of those, and those are definitely ones that are really interested. And then some come in and, take it as an elective or something like that, but then, really get interested in it. And when I tell them, it's not impossible to become a pilot.
Right.
right.
It's definitely something that can be in your wheelhouse. There's different routes to take to get there. Mine definitely wasn't a normal route, I guess. So
So, and we're going to be talking to later on here just a bit to one of the students, but again, what brought you to, I guess maybe to Dawson and teaching, as far as, I mean, like you said, wasn't necessarily in your wheelhouse, but what brought you to the teaching aspect of it?
So when I was finishing up school, I was in the military for 4 years and lived in Germany, and I was gone a lot, and real active lifestyle, busy lifestyle. And one thing that really drew me to teaching was the hours. I mean,
Right.
you know what you're going to work each week, and that's, as someone that has lived a busy life, I kind of
Right.
like to pump the brakes a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as the aviation piece, so you're a pilot, correct? So talk about the connection, how the program has been, and the connection we have with the local university, the simulator, and some of those things, and how the program kind of lays out.
So basically, my 3 aviation classes take the 2 introduction courses that are at Henderson, and it spreads it out a little bit. And so they're basically getting the intro to aeronautics classes that you would at Henderson. You're getting it through me, and the classes are designed to get you ready to take your written test for the FAA for your private pilot license.
Right.
And that's it's a hard test, and it's definitely a big milestone when you're at Henderson doing that.
Right.
But to be able to get that accomplished before you even step foot at Henderson gives you a great
Wow.
advantage
Sure.
Yeah.
in terms of studying and stress.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Because I know I stress out anytime I've ever taken an FAA written exam, because
Yeah.
it's a big one.
Now, are you both originally from Arkansas?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm from Arkadelphia.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Well, speaking of stressing out, I think about the fact that with the aviation program, and I see these planes buzzing around a lot. I would not want to be that dude going up for the first time with those guys.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No.
Buckle up.
No. Buckle
'Cause
up.
days like today, I mean, it's not uncommon to see, several planes throughout the day.
Oh, yeah.
They take advantage of a beautiful blue sky like today.
Nice, cool weather. A lot of people don't know that planes fly a lot better in cooler weather, and a little bit of cooler, not much wind. It'd be a perfect day to be out today.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like, when we were in driver's ed and the coach had the brake pedal, on the passenger side.
Yeah.
No, nothing at all like that. Because I don't think a brake pedal comes in.
I know, I'm
handy
just
up there.
saying. I was just saying, you got a co-pilot. Maybe you got hey, let
Yeah.
me take over in case you're messing up.
Well, the good news is in those training planes, both pilot and co-pilot seats can fully take control.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So, But yeah, I think honestly, it's probably a little known fact that program was even down here. We got, of course, we partnered with them even before I got here with a flight simulator, and one day I thought, well, this can't be that hard.
You crashed and burned.
I don't even think I got it off the ground. I mean, I thought I was going to, and it's like boom.
A lot of people don't know, but I've said if you can master the simulator,
Right.
then the air is nothing.
Wow.
'Cause in the air you can actually feel and kind of have that intuition to
Right.
Probably should pull up or anything
Right.
like that. But when you're in the simulator and you're just looking at screens,
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
you don't get that.
Yeah.
Feel.
Yeah. Right.
That's really neat that they can
Oh,
do
yeah.
that.
So as far as CTE, I know February was CTE month, and we due to weather and stuff, we try to get you in here, but
Right.
but CTE is back on the radar screen.
Oh, yes.
In education, and I think for the state of Arkansas, for the right reasons, we got lots of kids out there. It's just where we are, I think.
Right.
Lots and lots of kids. A 4-year university is not for them. I mean, there are plenty. I think if you look at the workforce across the state, I mean, we're at a point in this state that plenty of jobs I think that need to be filled, but we got to get skilled
Oh,
folks.
yeah. Yes.
So how to what? I guess the classes that we take. Talk about the exposure piece, if you could, how that is kind of a building block. How do you get kids interested not only in aviation but some of the other stuff?
Right. Well, we, like I said, we offer so many different things, and it gives students the opportunities to do a test run, if you will. See if they like that, if they enjoy that. Students who are interested in maybe getting in the medical field can take our health science courses. If they're interested in aviation, that's a thought of theirs. They can take his Oakley's courses and see if that even interests them. So it's a great opportunity for them to test the waters, if you will, because deciding what career you want for the rest of your life is so hard. That this helps give them a jump start on,
Right.
what they might enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the thing about CTE that separates it, let's just say from the core and the concurrent is the practitioner piece. Just like with aviation's a prime example. When they get in there with you, they can ask real world, if you will, questions, and that I've been there, done that kind of thing.
Yeah, we had an incident kind of relating to that. Is I had a student in my end of semester kind of survey. Expressed displeasure in the Aviation 2 class because it's called Airports, Airspace, and Weather. And he was a little unhappy that we hadn't covered those yet. We'd spent the first semester talking about engines and carburetors and systems. And I said, well, we're going to tackle airspace in January, and then airports in February, and then the whole fourth 9 weeks is weather. And so I made it a point to tell every student that I had, like, hey, if you ever have a question, it doesn't just have to be on the subject that we're covering right then and there.
Right.
It can be related. It could not be related. It could,
Sure.
if there's something you want to learn about, let me know.
Right. Yeah.
Because we can pivot real quick.
Yeah. And to me, that's invaluable. I can remember, when I first got into radio and had a guy, he told me, he made the point of, hey, you remember this class? And I was like, yes, sir. And he said, you remember this class? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you can forget all that because this is how it's really done. And I look back on that time, and he was right. I mean, he had been in the business, if you will, for a long time, been out and actually had done a lot of work out in California and other places, and probably learned more from that guy in 2 months or as much as I had in some of the classes that I'd taken 2 years. So.
Yeah.
But he was the same way. If you got questions, ask him, and he was able to cut through some stuff. So there's a lot of value in that approach to teaching, I think. So
And with the pandemic over the past 2 years, our health science classes have really done a great job of explaining
Right.
that and incorporating that into their courses.
Right.
You know, so
I just love that the kids have a lot of options, because I know just with the middle schoolers that I had, they're unsure of thinking about what they want to do. But it's like, guys, it takes different people, like all different personalities and stuff, to make this world work. I mean, we're not all going to be teachers. I mean, we need,
Sure.
farmers, and we need,
Oh, yeah.
oh,
absolutely.
plumbers, and we need, I mean, it's
Absolutely.
just, and so we're all here for a purpose.
Right.
So,
So, and again, the other thing I think that's amazing is the actual numbers of kids that we serve.
right.
So, I mean, guesstimating, how many kids do we serve probably in a year? I mean, I know it fluctuates, but it's up there, right?
Yeah. Well, for the CTE program, it can
Right.
be around 8,000 for the year.
Right.
3,000 or 4,000 a semester.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And see, to me, when I got here, I mean, I had no idea serving that many, and
I
that's
know.
just the CTE.
I
So,
didn't either.
and
That's awesome.
the thing that I, the virtual piece through the pandemic, obviously, Virtual Arkansas was already prepared. Other folks, other things that were going on, had to get that way, but leaned on Virtual Arkansas. And I do know, I mean, Virtual Arkansas, number one, is not for everybody, but I do know traditional learning is not for everybody. So I see the two, I mean, literally, coming, going forth and being successful, because there are certain kids that really and truly learn better this way. I mean, it's kind of, it's a pacing thing for them.
Right.
So it's one of those things I feel like that we need. It's going to be around. I really feel like at the end of the day, it's something that, there's lots of reasons that kids take virtual classes. And when you probably don't remember it because you hadn't been around it long enough. But,
Just a baby. He's just a baby.
But when Virtual Arkansas got started, one of the biggest arguments, I never will forget it, was the bell schedule. I mean,
Yes.
every school, Virtual Arkansas had it set a certain way, and if you couldn't get in, you couldn't get in. But now they've really worked hard
yes.
to make it work for everybody.
Yes.
Well, and all the different schools now have all kinds of different bell schedules and class
Calendars,
schedules.
and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
And so I do think that's a positive with us, is we're able to, kind of go with the flow with the,
Be
the
flexible.
block schedules
Yes.
and everything
Yeah.
that has to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
we pride ourselves on being able to still Zoom. We have that blended learning approach, where they do some by themselves on the, in the
Sure.
course, and then they can also talk live with the teacher.
Yeah, right.
So
And I think it took a while for people to, the old sit and get, even
Yeah.
virtually. They thought, it just kind of blew my mind there for a while. It took a lot of folks a long time to realize it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, and it can be, more in depth with the conversations, because, I don't want to just repeat what they're going to read about, or
Right.
vice versa.
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
get to kind of target different areas
Yeah.
and say, hey, I really want to stress on this before you go and do this.
Right, absolutely. So, well, we're going to bring in our student here in just a minute. So, Christie, at the end of the day, I guess we'll wind down with you. So, where do you see, Virtual Arkansas, let's just say 5 years from now, CTE? I mean, where do you see it headed, or where would you like to see it going, I guess?
well, the ball's already rolling. We have with the pandemic, we have seen a need that there's more CTE courses needed. So we have partnered with DCTE, and over the course of these past 2 years, we have created over 80 new courses.
Wow.
Wow,
And
that's
are able to
awesome.
offer that to students through content only, which is, there's a certified teacher at the school to teach the course, but we offer the content.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
lots of options.
Yeah, and that's the thing too about the virtual piece. Like I said, you use the word pivot, but absolutely able to change at a moment's notice.
right.
And that's something, I think, again, not knocking traditional learning, because again, it's there, it's going to be part of it. But that's the thing that, virtual has a leg up, I think, on, the other forms, I guess, of learning. And again, when something happens, you guys can adjust.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think, we were heading a certain direction anyway, but when COVID hit, I really think it did jumpstart a lot of things.
Sure.
With, working from home or learning from home and stuff like that. And, now that door's been opened, it's not going to just get shut.
Right.
You're
Right.
going to have those students that, think that they can work 20 hours a week and take these virtual classes, get them done, and,
Right.
not just have to be in school
Yeah.
Right.
for, 8
And our
hours a day.
virtual kids get to participate in things that kids on campus do.
Yeah. Right.
We have some virtual kids who are getting ready to go to the Skills USA
Oh, yeah.
competition, the state conference in Hot Springs. So,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I know it's helped kids, that for whatever reason may be lacking, a credit here or there or whatever, and able to do, like you said, kind of blend it in to make sure they get where they need to be
Right.
to progress to the next level in life for them. So lots of things that can be done virtually. So.
Right. Yes.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to come in and visit with us for a little bit this
Thank you for
morning.
having me. Yes. Thank
Glad
you.
you did.
Yeah, we're gonna get the student in here, the real rock star. see what he's got to say.
I think he's nervous.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we're going to part 2 of Spilling the Tea in Studio D with our CTE talk, Career and Technical Education. And we actually have a student with us, Will Cole.
Yay.
So, Will, appreciate you coming in. And you go to school where?
At Henderson State University.
Okay. And you went through the virtual classes here?
Yes.
Okay, and you had Oakley taught you a couple of them, huh?
Uh-oh.
So,
I taught him a few things.
okay.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to Mount Ida High School.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
A Montgomery County boy, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So, what year are you at Henderson?
I'm a freshman.
Freshman,
second
okay.
semester.
Okay, second semester.
He's
So,
my daughter's age then.
All right, yeah.
She's a freshman at Henderson.
so you did the old aviation, obviously. So, have you been up in the plane?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Yeah. How many hours have you flown there?
If I had to guess, I haven't counted them up yet, but I'd say probably 10 to 15 hours so far.
Okay. So, how many do you have to have before you get that first solo?
For the first solo, it's not, a hard limit on your hours, but the flight instructor's confidence in you to number
Right.
one, land the plane unassisted without any
Right.
help, and knowing that you have the knowledge to do something if do something the right way if something
Right.
goes wrong.
Right. Right. So, talk about that a little bit. Well, let's take it back to what kind of got you interested in aviation.
Well, I've always kind of admired airplanes ever since I took trips with family. I enjoyed flying in the airlines, and I just love that feeling, being laid back in the
Right.
in the jet, taking off down the runway and seeing everything way up in the sky. And so I was looking for an elective class my sophomore year of high school, and I saw the aviation class pop up on Virtual Arkansas, and I was like, this might be
Right.
something new to try.
I'll have to
So I
try
was
this
like, let's
out.
give it a whirl. So I went through the first year, and I was like, okay, this is going good. Then the second, and then finally the third, and I was like, oh, this is looking serious. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to say that, that Oakley is a great teacher because he's sitting right beside you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. We know he's a good teacher.
So, start to finish. I mean, what's the end game for you? Where do you hope to take this?
Right now, I would like to take it to probably flying for the forestry or a weather service, doing
Awesome.
observations for METARs and TAFs for weather service, or if I did the forest service, it's out in the outdoors because I love being outside. I love the sunshine. I love the I love nature, so I was like, so I could combine flying with my love for nature, so fly for the Forestry Service. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
really glad that he went that route, because a lot of people starting out just think of airlines, that they think
Right.
that's the only
That's what I would've
end all
thought
be
of.
all. That is
Yeah.
the only thing that you can do.
Right.
But there's so much more.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, oh gosh, I wouldn't have even thought of that. So that's really awesome.
yeah,
So, out here when you guys are doing your practice flights and all that, I mean, and again, I know absolutely nothing about aviation, except I just pray to God every time I get on a plane, and that I get where I'm going and I get back, right?
Same.
So, but I noticed these planes, they fly at a much lower altitude. I guess they're required when they're practicing to do that.
Not really required to fly so low, but you really don't need to get any higher than
I
about
gotcha.
3,000 feet. Is
Yeah.
the general kind of maneuvers that gives you room to climb if you want it, and room to go down if you're practicing descents or emergency
Right.
descents and stuff like that till you get about 1,000 feet, and then you'll add back power and fly up. But 3,000 feet is usually the kind of normal maneuvering altitude, and then if they're doing traffic pattern work, it's usually about 1,000.
So how exciting was it the first time you got to fly?
it was more just nerve-wracking than anything. Like I've only flown in jets, and they feel very solid and secure and just big. So it's like I'm in this little tin can,
Right.
and we're fixing to go 70 miles an hour down this runway and then cruise at 120. I was nervous, and
Right.
the first flight we hit a few bumps in the air going up, climbing out of traffic pattern altitude, and I was like kind of gripping the seat.
I would.
Yeah.
I was nervous.
Yeah.
There definitely is a transition when all you've flown on is big jets, and they're
Right.
pretty smooth for the most part.
Yeah.
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 And then when you get in the
You
little
feel
planes,
everything in those. Yeah.
Oh, that would be so scary.
Which is worse, the first takeoff or the first landing? Probably the landing, I would guess, maybe.
I don't know. What would you say?
Landing's way worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if there's any kind of like crosswind or something, right? Probably,
Well, I think as far as like your first like unassisted takeoff or your first unassisted landing, that first takeoff, the right rudder, you really have to
Gotta
hammer that in a
push
lot
it
more.
in. Yeah.
Most students will tend not to do that because just a little background, a single engine propeller has a lot of right turning or left turning tendencies that make the plane want to veer off to the left. So when you're the first person or the first time that you're actually taking off, you have to push that right rudder in a lot more than you think, and a lot of people won't, and so that plane veers to the left quite a bit, and you're like, oh, get it back on track.
Right.
Oh wow. That makes that flying's not my favorite thing. I mean, I like flying because it's quicker, but it kind of freaks me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I know we don't want to get too involved with the numbers or anything like that, but statistically
I know,
speaking, air
know.
travel is way safer.
I know. I saw that and everything, and it's kind of weird because once you get up there, I don't know, it's just me, but I forget that I'm that high in the air. You just forget about it. It's just like, oh, I'm like riding in a bus, or whatever. And then you think, oh, if you're not by the window, and then you're like, oh my goodness. Landing scares me too.
Going back to something he said about looking out and seeing a lot of wildlife and just nature and everything like that. When I was a student going through my flight training, I used to get in trouble a lot for just kind of like lollygagging out and just looking, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could certainly see that.
Yeah, I think that's really neat though. In high school, you're like, hey, looking for an elective, and you end up,
Just stumble
just meant
upon
to
it,
be.
yeah.
Just meant to be, huh?
So, start to finish, I mean, that obviously that's a 4-year degree. So at the end of the degree, you'll be a fully licensed pilot, right? And so, how many hours roughly will that be as far as like college hours? Not so much flight hours.
You might be able to answer this one better than
So
me.
For college credit, you know, at Henderson it is a liberal arts school, and so you'll
Okay.
have your other classes too,
Sure.
like
Like your basics.
your basics, your Englishes, but a lot of the non-aviation classes that you'll end up taking as an aviation major, physics, physics 1 and 2, college algebra, trig, were some of the harder non-aviation classes,
Right.
and then a lot of aviation classes that like you just kind of wouldn't think of, like regulations and publications, where
Oh yeah.
you go through the federal aviation regulations and you start learning the rules, and
Right.
that's a big book.
I bet.
And then aviation legislation, where you get aviation law questions and advanced aerodynamics. I'm not very mechanically inclined, sadly. But really the first class where I learned how engines works was in power plant theory, and you know, started with reciprocating engines and pistons, and I was like, oh, that's how they work, that's cool.
Right.
You know, and then later, you know, learning the steps of a turbine engine and stuff like that. So you do get a lot of classroom material that adds to your broad knowledge of how all this stuff works. And so graduating requirements, I think, is just like everything else. I think it's 120.
That sounds right.
That
Yeah.
sounds all right. Yeah.
And then as far as your hours in the plane go, it differs from how long it took you to progress, or you know, if you had kind of got stuck at a stage or something. But what Henderson does have, so your normal ATP, which is your airline transport pilot license, normally that's 1,500 hours. But at Henderson, you get a restricted ATP, which drops it down quite a bit. And so when students graduate, a lot of them become flight instructors at Henderson
Gotcha.
to continue, not only to make money, but to continue those hours as well.
Right.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So I guess getting up in the air. Are you looking forward to that day or not by yourself? That first one.
I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I feel comfortable with everything, and of course my CFI is going to do the same, and I know everything and all the maneuvers and what to do if something goes wrong, and make sure
Right.
I turn on everything. So they won't put me up there if I'm not ready.
Right. Do they give you a certain amount of time when you go over that first time, or just?
I feel like usually, most students start in the fall, and I feel like most people's first solos are in the spring. I know mine was. And then, once you kind of get that first solo knocked out, things start to pick up a little bit better.
Right,
You start
yeah.
becoming more confident in yourself
Sure,
and your
right.
abilities. And I don't want to say it gets easier, but you have that solid foundation on what to
Right.
work on.
Right. I got you. So you being from Mount Ida, you want to get a plane in the outdoors. So basically, you're going to be looking for deer, that kind of stuff, right?
I really don't know exactly what I'll be looking for, but I'm thinking more with forestry stuff, like fire spotting or something like that, or
Search
I
and
don't
rescue.
I don't know if I wasn't sure if search and rescue tied into the forestry
Yeah,
service
I
or
got you.
not, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that might be part of it. Whatever they have me to do, I haven't really looked too deep into it, but I know that's kind of the route I want to go.
I got you.
So
That's awesome.
Well, this may be a dumb question, but as far as flying plane versus helicopter, I mean, you got to be licensed in both, or
Yeah.
okay,
And helicopters, hard. It's harder.
Yeah.
That's with airplane flying, you've got your hands on the yoke and you've got your feet on the pedals, and you've got a free hand to do power and mixture
Right.
and radio and everything like that. But with a helicopter, you've got to use another hand over for your elevator, and so you've got hand, and feet. And so
Oh,
you're
wow.
adding
Wow.
extra, patting and rubbing and everything.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
way too much for me to
Yeah.
think about at the same
Right.
time. Yeah.
But it goes just about the same way. But just because you're licensed in an airplane does not mean that you
Right.
can just hop on
Right.
over and take flight.
right, yeah,
Different tests and things like that. Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so being from Montgomery County, I mean, you gotta love being outside anyway, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what do you do for fun up there?
I work on cars.
Oh, do you really? Like old cars, putting them
Old-
back together, or what?
Yeah, I work on Mopars from the 60s to 70s.
Oh yeah.
My grandfather and my father were both in the classic cars. So I learned a lot of the stuff about restoring and keeping the paint good and keeping them buffed and waxed and cleaned and everything from my grandfather. And now my grandfather passed away a few years ago, so now everything that I learned about the engines part of it, I learned from my dad.
Right.
Because he wasn't really into the cosmetics of it. He looked into the engines about
Right.
it. So I'm learning a lot of that stuff from him.
Tell them what you're working on now.
I'm working on a 74 Plymouth Roadrunner.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
What color is
Yeah, I
it?
was
It's
gonna.
blue
A blue.
with
Okay.
black stripes going down the sides.
Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
trying to think. My brother had, when I was in school, it was maroon, had a gold stripe on it, and I'm trying to think what year model that thing was. This is like maybe 79 maybe. But man, that thing, they called it I know nothing about engines or what, but it had an automatic, but it had that slapstick automatic, they called it. And that thing would get on down the road. Is all I know about it. So, but yeah, those are good looking cars.
Oh yeah.
So that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Passing it down. That's really cool.
So when are you hoping to get out of school? I mean, what's your graduation plan? So you got what, 3 years left after this one? Sounds like.
If the progress picks up, yes, it's been a little slow going because of weather.
Oh, yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
wintry, nasty stuff and
Yeah.
storms, and then since it's spring now, it's gonna still keep coming. So once all the weather gets by, and maybe I might pick up some flights in the summer, I might be able to get back on track and hopefully get out of here within the 4-year
Right.
or 4.5-year range. I'd rather not go more than that.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
gonna try to
Right.
get it done as quick as possible.
Okay.
So
Sounds like Sarah, she's ready to be done.
Yeah,
Already.
exactly. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming in.
Yes.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, and good luck with that flying stuff. You know, if you need somebody to get in that little plane with you, Candace loves that kind of stuff.
No. I'm
Well-
not volunteering on this one.
Yeah, Oakley, we appreciate you coming in
Yes.
too.
Thanks for having us.
And
Yeah.
what you do, it's incredible. And you know, this virtual stuff. I mean, I think what you said, Will, about looking for electives, that kind of thing. That kind of was what we talked about before you even got in here. Was the fact that you never know. Sometimes what's available till you go looking for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes. I'm a Cutter Morning Star graduate, and I know there was a lot of times the smaller schools. We don't know what's out there. We don't necessarily have those opportunities on campus, and we don't know to look off campus to find them. But I mean, you're a walking testament to that. I mean,
Yeah, that's really cool.
aviation in Mount Ida. Who would have thunk it, right?
Yeah.
That's all right though. Hey, but again, appreciate y'all coming in.
Yes, it's been a joy talking about
All
that.
right, and that's going to do it for this episode of Spilling the Tea in Studio D.